What's up, ladies and gentlemen? It is Tuesday, March 15th, and welcome to episode number 18 of the 9 by 9. My name is Everett Delorme, joined as always by Mr. Rob St. Clair, the newly engaged Mr. Rob St. Clair. Congratulations. Very
Thank you, my
happy for
friend.
you.
Thank you very
That's
much.
that's pretty awesome. Would love to meet your lovely fiance at some point. But we're not here to talk about Rob's pending nuptials. We're here to talk about some volleyball, and it's an exciting time for volleyball right now. Everything's kind of building up. You've got the end of league plays. You've got the start of Champions League. We've got Challenge Cup and CEV Cup in the finals. A lot going on right now. We had some matches go down today. We're prepping some for some matches in the next few days. Rob, it's exciting. Where are we going to start here?
Well, it's championship season. It's mid-March. This is when the club season gets good. This is what everyone tunes in and watches for. And let's jump in and start with the Italian men because they just played their second to last round of matches this past weekend. So, boom, check it out there on the screen. Every team, well, almost every team now has exactly one match left. There are two teams that have two matches left. That's Milano and Lube Civitanova. They have a makeup match, I think, like a week from tomorrow, maybe, which as we'll get to, has absolutely no consequence. It's totally meaningless on the standings. And there is one team that is officially done for the season. That is Ravenna. Ravenna, we've just got to go over this.
Thank you for
It
participating.
is official. Ravenna has finished 0-24. They went winless. They
did get 2 points
got
though.
2 points.
They went to fifth. They went to five twice.
Five twice. But it is officially rest in peace, Ravenna. Thanks for participating. It is more likely than not that rather than Ravenna take relegation and play in the A2 division next year, it's more likely that their club just folds, unfortunately.
That makes me kind of sad because Ravenna is like a storied club.
They used to be
they've had good teams, and hell, like if you look back to just a few years ago, like the coronavirus season, the one that was ended, like they were in the running. Shawan Vernon Evans was going off for them. He scored 309 points with them that game. And, they've always been one of those middle of the pack teams that they bring in good youngsters, develop them well. They had a good structure, good system, and build them up. So I would really hate to see them leave the sport. Maybe just go to A2, rebuild, get some sponsors, retool, come back and play hard because, I think they deserve it. Now, the race for the second relegation spot, because of Ravenna's late coming into the league, we've got 2 spots this year, is intense. Now, Vibo came up short this weekend against Padova. It really put Padova in the driver's seat, and Vibo really at a disadvantage. They need a win this weekend, or that's it. They're being relegated as well.
Yep. So the scenarios there are pretty simple, as we'll get to in just a second. But I want to go over all the matches that happened this past weekend. Just here while we have them up. So, like Everett just alluded to, Padova played Vibo Valencia. That very well could be a head-to-head matchup that decides relegation. Padova not only wins, but they win and get full points, which is huge. Cisterna had the benefit of playing Ravenna, cementing Ravenna's winless status on the year, and Cisterna moves into actually playoff position because of that, as we'll get to in a second. Trentino and Milano played a pretty good 5-setter that actually did have impact on standings because Milano gets a point from that. Trentino was definitely the better team in the 5th, but a lot of credit to Milano for just playing really well that entire match. The stunner of the weekend was Toronto. Toronto with clearly a season-defining win for them, beating Modena in 4. And now Modena didn't have Namir Abdelaziz.
No.
But
still. You still have Leal, you have Enkepath, you have Bruno.
But still, man.
You've got Daddy Stankovic. You've got the boys.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you should be able to beat Toronto with Swanee on the court.
You should be able to beat Toronto, but to Toronto's great credit, they were just the better team playing at home. It was an opportunity for a season-defining win for them, and they
not Luigi Randazzo.
So super good. Yeah, 17 for 29, 59% kills. That's just shy of 50% efficiency, plus 3 blocks, like 20 points total. Tommaso Stefani, 18 for 32. That's awesome as
But,
well.
but
Two
that's
blocks.
kind of something that I expect from Stefani now.
Yeah.
After having watched them this season, that's kind of like, oh yeah, Stefani puts up another 20. I'm not surprised by that in the slightest. But Randazzo
Since
coming
he's
in with
like
20 as well. Yeah,
yeah, since Stefani's come into the starting lineup like the second half of the year for them, which by the way, it's about time. It's nice to see like the young one of the futures of the opposite position for Italy. Like maybe we'll talk about in a little bit. I know that was a discussion in the Discord recently about what their national team lineup looks like the next couple of years. But since we've seen Stefani over Giulio Sabi, it's been kind of what we've all been waiting to see from Toronto. And yeah, so Stefani's been good since coming in. I mean, he's young, he's enormous. I think he's going to be a really good player. Joao Rafael has been probably their best and most consistent player throughout the year. I mean, he went 13 for 23, which is really good for sort of like an L2 character. But then they get the MVP level performance from Randazzo, and that's like a really, really well-rounded three-wing performance plus decent contribution from both middles. You're going to win a lot of matches that way. So shout outs to Toronto. Not only do they beat Modena, they beat them for a full 3 points, and they are 100% safe from relegation. So big credit to
big.
Toronto getting promoted from after winning A2 last year. They will stay in the Superliga, which is cool to see. So congratulations to them.
Yeah, for sure. For me, looking at this stat line, because I didn't watch it because I was just like, hey, Modena versus Toronto, you're probably not going to need to, just kind of forgot about it. But man, Irvin Ingpes, 13 for 33, 4 errors, blocked 5 times.
Yikes. That's really
a
bad.
really bad stat line.
Really
And
bad.
I mean, it just you can tell that Irvin needs that. He needs that external kind of motivation. Like there's no way he was up for this one, and Modena just don't have anyone else that they're going to be able to go to the bench to.
Right. In terms of the top four teams, Modena is the team with the least depth. Once they get past their starting 7, they really start to struggle with like kind of the exception of who's their backup middle. What's their backup middle's name? Sanguinetti, I believe is his name. He's been playing a little bit over Mazzone recently because Mazzone's having a rough last couple months or so. But the point I'm trying to get at is without Namir, Modena really is pretty hopeless. So the first set they started with Ingapet and Leal at the outsides and Lorenzo Salas, their like young Italian backup opposite. He was a total non-factor, negative efficiency. So they move Yoandi Leal to the right and they bring in Martin Van Garderen, who's like clearly just a passing outside for the rest of the match. And it just didn't go super well for him. Leal was okay on the right, 18 for 35 total on the match is totally fine.
20 points.
Yeah, 20 points is good. I think he was Modena's best player, but in Van Garderen 8 for 18, that's okay, more than I would kind of expect out of him. But
it's the kind of late season wins that you see in any sport,
right?
Right?
Oh, totally.
Like, how many times have we seen playoff pushes get ruined by a team that was relegated long ago? And especially for a team like Toronto, they're coming up. They've got 1 game left in the season. Obviously, like, hey boys, let's go out there and play. Let's reserve our spots in this league next year, and let's party afterwards. And that's that for them that was their Supercopa right there.
100%.
They beat Modena, and they got the job done. They beat the Modena at home. I'm sure they had a nice party afterwards. They've got 1 game left in the season, and we're still wondering what the heck this Modena team is.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't really care that much about this for Modena. They had no Namir, and now they are locked into 4th place. Like they can't move now from 4th place in the standings. So,
which sets up a potentially spicy semifinal.
We'll talk about that in just a second. But just for the rest of the games from this weekend, Perugia beat Monza on Sunday. I commentated that game. I was very, very surprised that it went this way because Perugia, like we talked about last week, had already locked up the number 1 seed in the playoffs. So they had absolutely no motivation to come out and win this match. They played the entire bench. We saw Tragica, which was just torturous viewership for me, having to commentate the game. We saw Terhorst and Plotnitsky at the outsides. And we saw Rikliski at the right side, and I think Mengozzi and Ricci in the middle. So they sat Leon, they sat Gianelli, they sat Anderson, they sat Soleil. There was just a lot of it was the B team. It was the Perugia B team, and they still were able to come out and get past a Monza team who had Jurgi Grozer on a really good day. He led the match in scoring, but past that, in a match that they needed a lot more than Perugia did, needless to say. It was kind of a flat performance from Monza.
Yeah, absolutely. Like they're battling right in the middle of the pack there with Piacenza. This kind of put them 3 points back, and it's really not a good one. But man, even even Perugia's B team is like their B team is essentially their team from last year,
That's
right? You've
right.
got
Yeah, it
Trajka, you
is.
got Terhorst, you've got Plotnicki, Rich Licky is still in there. So hey, uh, you can tell that Perugia is tooling up to go for a long, deep run, not only here in the Superliga but also in the Champions League. They've got a lot of matches to go this season, and they got to get their guys some rest. And hey, they still got a W out of it, so just wins all around right now for Perugia.
Right. Then they've got a really nice next 3 weeks or so because they don't have to play Champions League right now. They got the bye from the Russian forfeit, and then
Yeah,
after winning the Super Cup in Italy, which we talked about on last week's show, they knew they were the 1 seed. They've got a nice like week or two or so that they really don't have to play any of their guys unless they want to before the playoffs start. So shout outs to Perugia. Then on Saturday, in a makeup game, Lube Civitanova beat Verona in 4. Rok Mozic injured his knee in that game. We don't know the severity of that yet. It looks like he's been at least back to practice this week, which is great news for Verona. It looked kind of scary at the time. I turned this one on. I saw it happen live, and it was one of those non-contact landing injuries that too many sports fans are just terrified about and have seen too many times. So
yeah,
I
I
don't
hate that.
yeah, I know I don't have any word on if Mosic is going to play the next match or not, but it definitely doesn't sound like his season is over, which is really good news. So there's a good chance we see him, if not this next Verona match, at least later in the summer for Slovenia. So that's big. And then another makeup game. Well, not a makeup game, but like a late or an earlier scheduled game to do some rearranging. Piacenza beat Verona last Thursday. So Verona on a bit of a cold skid, really needing to win some matches. So the
Yeah, I mean,
standings right now.
Verona's right on the edge there
Oh
of
yeah.
getting relegated, right? They're only sitting 2 points ahead of Vibo, and that's like that's not good for them.
So looking at this view right here, these are the current standings as of tonight, Tuesday, March 15th. The next matches are on Sunday, March 20th. So we'll start with what we know for sure. What we know for sure is Perugia's number one. They
Hmm.
can't be caught. Lube has 2 more matches, but they're behind by 10 points. So that's set. Modena is locked in at 4th. They can't catch Trentino, and Milano can't catch them. So Modena is locked in at 4th, and that sets up, like Everett alluded to, a semifinal between Modena and Perugia because the matchups go 1-8, 2-7, 3-6, 4-5, like most brackets do. So Modena locked in at 4th. Milano is locked in at 5th because they got a point in a 5-set loss against Trentino. Now they cannot be caught by Piacenza. So Milano, even with 2 matches left to play, will take 5th because they can't be caught and they can't catch Modena. So Milano at 5th. So that leaves Lube Civitanova and Trentino both in a battle for 2nd versus 3rd. The only thing that would change is who they play in the first round, and then if they indeed like take care of business in the first round, who would get home court advantage in a best of 5 series. So who would get to play 3 matches at home versus 2. So that might make both those teams play their full lineups this next week and weekend. I guess we'll see. So moving down the line, Piacenza in 6th. That's not set just yet. Monza in 7th at 31 points. That's not set just yet. But what we do know is that both those teams are in the playoffs. So Monza cannot get caught by Cisterna. And so Monza, the worst they could do is 7th. Piacenza, the worst they could do, I believe, is also 7th. So they're both in. We know that Ravenna is relegated. We already talked about that. So what that leaves is spots 8 through 12. Total wild card. Cisterna's in the 8th spot right now. That's a playoff team. So they would have the honor of participating in the playoffs, getting smacked by Perugia in the first round, but that is a big deal for any club to at least make the playoffs. So Cisterna in 8th right now, but by no means set just yet. As for relegation, Vibo Valencia in 12th right now, 22 points. They trail Verona and Padova both by 2 points. So a couple other things we know. Cisterna and Taranto cannot get relegated.
Yep.
Also, Vibo Valencia cannot make the playoffs. But other than that, there are 3 teams that can get relegated now. That's Vibo, Verona, and Padova. One of those 3 will get relegated. Then there are 4 teams that can make the playoffs in the 8th spot: Cisterna, Taranto, Padova, or Verona. So both Padova and Verona are playing this next match not only to not get relegated, but they also have a chance, although an outside chance because they need Cisterna, probably both Cisterna and Toronto to lose. They could still make the playoffs at this point. So that's the way this stands.
What's the deciding factor in a tie? Because for both Padova and Verona, right, they're sitting 3 points behind. But Cisterna has 40 sets win. It's 40 sets won.
Great question.
Whereas Padova only has 36 and Verona has 34.
So here's a couple more scenarios to break down. So after points, which is that column on the right side of your screen there, it goes match win percentage. So if Padova or Verona were to have a chance to make the playoffs, they would need to win and get to 27 points. Cisterna would need to lose and stay at 27 points. At that point, both Padova or Verona would have a tiebreaker over Cisterna because for Padova or Verona to win,
their 10th win
they would be 10 and 14. If Cisterna were to lose to create that point tiebreaker, they would be 9 and 15. So that helps if you're a Padova or a Verona fan. Both Padova and Verona also have tiebreakers over Toronto if they were to end up with the same number of points, but that's unlikely with Toronto ahead of them by 2. But that's how the tiebreaker works. If you're tied in points, it goes to the number of matches that you've won. So every team will play 24 matches, which is why you see almost everybody with 23 played so far. Number of matches won is the second tiebreaker, and after that, it goes to set ratio.
It's really nice that Ravenna is not playing this weekend.
Yeah,
that their season is done.
That worked out extremely well.
No one gets a gimme. It's nice that you've got like the team that gets the biggest short end of the stick here is Cisterna because they have to play Trentino. So maybe in some world we're going to see Penali maybe on the court. Maybe we're going to see the bench for Trentino because they do have Champions League this week.
Tomorrow.
They've got Champions League tomorrow against Berlin, and they have to travel to Berlin this time. Right. So you've got a little bit of travel. Why don't you just give the boys a rest? You've locked up third place. You can't catch. Oh, you could catch.
Oh yeah, they could catch Lube, which is the only reason why I think they might actually play the starters. Now we don't know about if Daniel Levy is healthy because he didn't play Champions League this past week.
No, he's not healthy, and he's not going to Champions League next week either. He's out for 2 weeks.
Okay, yeah. So that you never know. All right, so that's a segue. Let's look at the matches this Sunday. There are 6 matches this Sunday, and none of them include Ravenna. So almost every one of these matches is extremely significant. And if I don't think this time on the screen is correct, but I think they're all going on at the same time, which is even cooler because nobody can be scoreboard watching or see a score that happens earlier in the day, and it just
suck for us.
Just what they do. It's going to be impossible for viewers. We're going to be hopping around all over the place. But let's go through them. So Cisterna playing for their playoff lives. If they take Trentino to 5, they're in. All Cisterna needs is 1 point, and they're in. Mm-hmm. If they win, they're certainly in. Milano versus Toronto. Milano has absolutely nothing to play for. Toronto does. And actually, I might not be right about that because Toronto's only behind by a point. If Cisterna goes to 5, they get 1 point.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Him, so
27 points compared to 26. So even if Cisterna goes to 5 and Toronto gets a win in 3 or 4, then
they're tied at 29, and Cisterna would have the matches 1 tiebreaker. So Cisterna
would be something else.
Yeah, Cisterna needs to win, and they're in. So back to the schedule for this weekend. Toronto needs to win and needs Cisterna to lose, but Toronto is playing Milano, who has absolutely nothing to play for. Padova is playing Modena. Modena has absolutely nothing to play for. Padova needs a 3-point win and some help to make the playoffs. But if they win, if they win and get 3 points, they are guaranteed to not get relegated. Perugia plays Lube Civitanova, which would normally be the most spotlighted match of the day, but honestly,
I was thinking that it's a little anticlimactic.
In this case,
it doesn't really matter for anything.
Yeah, it's the least important match out of the 6, which is crazy to think about. But Perugia's got the 1 seed locked up, and
Lube's banged up. Lube's having issues. Perugia's rolling their bench. We're gonna see bench against bench in this one.
We're definitely we will 100% see Perugia's bench without question. We will see Perugia's bench. We just saw it this past weekend against Monza. That you will absolutely see Perugia's bench. Lube, it's a toss up because they have to go to Poland They're in Poland right now. They play Josh Shepsky in Champions League tomorrow, which we'll talk about in a minute. But I don't exactly know what to expect out of Lube. I guarantee you will see Perugia's bench though. So that one it will probably be the only one of these matches that I don't really follow religiously, which is crazy. Then Verona versus Monza, big for both teams, but especially Verona. Verona needs a win to guarantee themselves not to get relegated. And then Vibo Valencia versus Piacenza. So Vibo, like we saw in the standings just a second ago, they're in 12th by 2 points. They need a win, preferably a 3-point win. Actually, they do need a 3-point win, because if they're tied with Padova or Verona, they lose that tiebreaker. So Vibo needs a full 3-point win, and for one of Padova and Verona to lose. And that's the only way right now that Yuji Nishida and the boys are not getting relegated.
Yeah, it really doesn't look good for them. It kind of sucks. Vibo was such a fun team to watch last year. They came onto the scene. They were the team coming up from A2, and then they just swung and missed with their roster this year. I mean, they didn't have the
Every
best
choice
luck.
was bad.
They just didn't have the best luck with the whole Douglas situation, him leaving to go back to Brazil to be on Big Brother, even though he continues to deny it. Just like up and leaving. Of course, Nishida got injured throughout the season. The roster composition just wasn't good. You just missed the magic that was last year, and everything just kind of worked together, and that's why they ended up fifth last year. Was that or fourth in the regular season? Like they were up there,
They were
right?
up there.
And
they were really good. And you're right. They were
yeah, no,
I
think they were fourth, and yeah, it's just fun to watch and just poor decisions. So yeah, I'm kind of not rooting for them, but they're my pick to get relegated. Unfortunately,
yeah, they're my pick to get relegated, and I think that, like, talking about teams that deserve to get relegated, other than Ravana, is a weird thing to say, because like nobody really deserves to get relegated. But I think I'll spin it this way: Padova and Verona both deserve to stay in the league more than Vivo does.
Absolutely.
Just because of the reasons Everett just said. Everything that their front office did this offseason, every single piece of that was bad for them. A lot of those were just bad decisions. Some of them were just bad luck. But philosophically, I totally disagree with them shattering the team that they had such tremendous success with last year. They let TJ DeFalco walk. They let Thibaut Rossard walk. They let Bartolomé Chinese walk. The only piece they kept is Davide Saita, who has been part of their problem this year. Nishida gets hurt for a little bit, whatever. Uncle Mo, terrible year. Flavio is the only player that they picked up this year who's been good.
Flavio for me is like an all-star.
Flavio's awesome.
Right? Like he's
been by far their best
honestly,
player.
Like I would put them up there with Simone as the two best medals on the season.
I don't know if I'd say that.
Had a great. I mean, hey, I think some of the numbers are there to prove it, and he put this team on his back as a middle. Like that's not easy to do.
Yeah, he deserves way better than Vibo's team performance. But yeah, just the way that their season has gone and the way that their team's been constructed from the get-go has never set up well and never really sat well with me, those choices after what happened to them last year. And they're also my pick to get relegated, because Piacenza, so Vibo's playing Piacenza on Sunday. Piacenza can't just totally play the bench. They do need to win that match to make sure they get 6th rather than 7th. So it would take a pretty significant miracle for Vibo not to get relegated at this point, although it's not impossible.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, who knows? It's volleyball. Anything could happen at this point. Like we've seen Vibo come up a few times phenomenally. Like Nishida has that ability to go off from the baseline. So I don't know. All I know is that I'm going to be watching and it's going to be exciting.
Yeah, so all of these matches are all on volleyballworld.tv, by the way, in case you don't already know about that. Just to reiterate the point from earlier, so there's a match on next Wednesday, so the 23rd. Completely useless match. Does not matter at all. Lube versus Milano. Milano is locked in at 5th. I think by the end of Sunday, we'll know how Lube is going to finish. So that match will not matter. So it really all comes down on Sunday. By the end of Sunday, we will know the eight playoff teams, and we will know the other team who's getting relegated along with Ravana, and that's going to be extremely spicy.
Yep. Should be good. All right. Do we want to do Champions League now, or do we want to hit up France and Poland?
Let's see a couple other quick pieces of news from elsewhere around Europe. Real quick, while we're in Italy, we might as well talk about the only one Italian women's match that happened last week that was notable, and that's Firenze beating Monza in 5. That kind of
Yeah,
came out of
that's a
nowhere.
big one. And it's weird because Firenze, they're a playoff team. They're in the middle of the pack. That's their second big win against a big team. They're the team that took down Canigliano,
And stop the streak.
and
That's
and
right.
and stopped the streak back in January, right? So a big win for them, but kind of a head scratcher for Monza with Retke, and who's the other one? Jordan Larson, the other American there. Retke getting pulled after the first set, 0 for 5. And then Jordan Larson getting pulled after 3. She was 8 for 25 and was blocked twice. So it's so weird because Monza, they pick up Retke, have a great first half of the second half of the season, upset Canigliano. They're looking good. They go pick up the Olympic MVP in Jordan Larson, and then just haven't looked as good since then. Obviously, not feeling it in this one. It was the same thing against Canigliano in Champions League last week, which we'll talk about in a bit, but just not clicking yet. Now, I'm not quite sure why, and I need to watch them a little bit more, but I'm sure there's a little bit of uncertainty and maybe even a little bit of panic in Monza right now.
Yeah, it's been a roller coaster of a couple weeks really around the entire Italian women's league because just a couple weeks ago we were praising Monza as perhaps the best team in the league and really putting down Conegliano. Now it's looking a little bit like the opposite. But for me, the real winners, Italian women's wise, out of all this is Novara. Novara now totally has the inside track to the 1 seed in the Italian playoffs. And we talked about this a couple weeks ago because of how significant getting that number 1 seed in the Lega Volley Femminile would be. Because you would get the winner of just a absolute battle of a Scandici versus Busto Arsizio first round series. The winner of that will play the 1 seed, which right now is looking like it'll be Novara in the semis. So that's a much better matchup in the semis than what's looking likely right now is Monza Conegliano as a semifinal, and that's a bloodbath. So then, if Novara is able to survive and get to the finals, they'll have a beaten up winner of that series to face in the finals. So the matchups and the benefit of matchups that you get if you do get the number 1 seed in the Italian Women's League is enormous.
First place is paramount right now,
It's
right?
so big.
And Novara is sitting in first place. They've got those 55 points
with one match less.
At hand.
Yeah, one game.
Yeah, they've got a game at hand over Canigliano. So
2 versus
Haley Washington, and the girls are looking good right now. So yeah, it's gonna come down to the wire though, and it's just gonna set up a crazy intense playoff series because let's be honest, like compared to last year when Canigliano, everyone knew they were going to go on a run, and then they went on a run just all the way through. It's a toss up.
Totally.
Right? Hey,
totally.
Maybe like it's really too bad that Jordan Poulter's gone down for Busto, and that kind of signs their season away.
Yeah, that is a bummer.
They're kind of in 5th place, and they're just seeing the pack getting further and further, smaller and smaller off in the distance. But man, this top 4 with Scandici, and I think Scandici is a huge wild card too. I think that they're a little bit younger, and having Pova on the right side, and maybe Lipman going between those two, I'm not sure how they're going to stand up against Kerkert and Novara, but still, like, we're getting to the nitty gritty and the fun point of the season now for the League of Volley Family, and I'm excited.
Yeah, Everett's right. It's a lot more exciting than it was last year when there was one team that was clearly way better than everyone else. The thing about this league, though, each team will play 26 matches instead of 24. And if you look all the way down in the standings right now, I'm looking at Perugia. They've only played 20, which is crazy. They've got so many matches still left to catch up on. So this league still has several weeks left in the regular season and a lot of really crazy cancellations. So there aren't a lot of great matches coming between the contenders these next couple weeks, but
no,
when it comes down to like this same situation that we just talked about for the men, when it's like really one match left to go, we'll dig into this more. But right now, that Monza loss was worth bringing up, and Novara on the inside track for the 1 seed, and that's kind of all I have about this.
Great, yeah, I'm stoked. It should be good. All right, time to pay some bills, Rob.
Indeed.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, if you've been following the past couple weeks, you will now know that we have a sponsorship. We have a partnership with BetUS. America's favorite sports book. So if you want to use the code Volley125, you're going to get 125% deposit bonus. So you're going to get 125% more extra to what you already deposited. I mean, it's a perfect time. March Madness is on the cusp of starting.
Indeed.
Which
Thursday,
is
which is amazing.
A bettor's heaven. You've got all of these playoff matches going down. Beach volleyball is back literally tomorrow with qualification going on down at the challenge in Brazil. So it's a great time to jump on the betting train. So join us at BetUS. Head over to the link that's just down below in the show notes of this. Use that link, head on over, and then use the code Volley125 for 125% deposit bonus. So yeah, make sure you guys check that out and take advantage because it's betting season, baby. March Madness, like this is the time.
Yeah, it's an outstanding deal. So you put in $100 and you immediately get 225 total.
It's free money. It's
free money. Literally free money. Like betting is just the most fun and engaging way to really experience sports now that it's becoming so much more widely accepted everywhere. This is not available in just the US, by the way. You can get it anywhere
international,
where anywhere where sports betting is legal, you can do this. So to give us the kickback, make sure you use the code Volley125. That's huge.
Yeah, if you want to support the show, have a little bit of fun, make sure you guys check it out. All right, now talking about some games that you can probably bet on. We are going to be jumping over to the Champions League and just CEV in general because it's we're down to the quarterfinals in Champions League. We had first leg last weekend. We saw some massive upsets last Tuesday. We were hoping for some updates for some upsets on Wednesday and Thursday. Didn't happen. Still a couple of good matches, and now we're setting up for a packed Wednesday. What is it? 3 matches tomorrow, and 1 on Thursday. So tomorrow is a big day for European volleyball.
Just for Champions League, because we'll talk about
just for Champions
the other
League.
CEV tournaments in just a minute. Point. But first focus is on Champions League men's and women. So last week, Tuesday, we had already talked about Zhezhov beating Vakif Bank in 5 and JW coming out of nowhere and sweeping Lubech Ivanova. But we did not get to talk about last week the other 2 series. So we'll start with that. Let's start with the All-Italian women's match from last Wednesday. Imoko Conegliano pounding Vero Volley Monza into the ground 3-0. 25-21, 25-21, 25-19. Paula Egonu had 27 points in 3 sets. Everett, 9 points per set. It's the craziest number I've ever seen. 9 points per set. Who does that? 22 for 40. Only 3 errors. Yeah, Egonu does. 22 for 40. 3 balls hit out of bounds, never blocked. 2 blocks, 3 aces, 27 points in 3 sets. I can't restate that enough how insane that is. 7 aces to 7 service errors as a team for Conegliano. Miriam Sila played. She played reasonably well. Catherine Plummer played reasonably well. Their middles were good. And Monza, conversely, not really all that good at all in just about any category. And they had absolutely no answer for the best player in the world, and that was it.
It was a weird match to watch because Monza came running out of the gate.
They did.
And if you look at the score splits, they led 8-7 at at 8 in the first set, and that was really one of the only few times that they led. Same thing in the second set. But for me, they went to Dana Retke 3 times by 5 points in the first set, and then she ended with 5 points. That to me it just shows how crazy off the game plan they went. Because the first set, especially, you could tell that Conegliano was trying to spread out that offense. They were giving it to Plummer. They were giving it to Sila, who you said she had an all right game. I think she had a fantastic game and was the game changer. That mostly on the defensive side, passing to her energy was there. She was just so much of a more dynamic player than Megan Courtney has been for them. Just brought the energy. But yeah, they were going to Plummer early. Like Plummer was leading them early. They were going to Sila. They were going, to their middles and really just allowing Egonu some time away from that ball. But then the game just got into a point where it was just kind of a right side versus right side battle. And it just kind of got into this lull, and Egonu was all over it. And I think Conegliano just did such a good job at engaging all of their players and all of their athletes early on. And I mean, obviously they've been struggling recently, so they knew that they had to come come out strong in this one. So they were just engaging all of their athletes early on. Plummer was there. She had what I thought was a really strong game. Same thing with Scylla. Obviously, Agonu was lights out, but they just got into this mode of just feeding the ball to Magdalena Stesiak. And I mean, she wasn't terrible. She went 12 for 29, but I really thought that the strength of Monza was going to be spreading their offense out quite a bit. I mean, Larson did have an all right performance, 14 for 28. She went 50% for 16 points, but it just they weren't really putting any pressure on Monza on Canigliano, and Canigliano just dominated. It was a little lackluster in my opinion.
Yeah, you hit on a couple things there that I want to echo. The first is game plan, and you're right about Monza's game plan of going to the middle early and then just totally stopping doing that for no real conceivable reason. And I agree with that being really a terrible choice. And it sometimes when these great women's volleyball teams that have these supernatural opposites, when they get into just right side versus right side battles, I don't always love watching them, except when Paula Egonu plays like this, because that was a masterclass. It was an absolute masterclass. They gave the MVP in this match to Joanna Volos, which I couldn't disagree with more. That makes absolutely no sense when you have a player that literally scored 9 points per set. Whatever. I don't always love seeing right side versus right side battles unless Egonu was playing this well. My goodness, she was just so good. And why, if you're Monza, would you want to play that game against her? That's totally not your game plan. Not even close. Your game plan is to be balanced. You should have decent to good matchups in the middle. Your outside hitters should be as good or better than theirs, especially now that you got Jordan Larson. And you can't make Stesiak carry you. Like you can't ask Stesiak to outscore Paula Egonu. That's not going to happen. So I didn't really understand the diversion from the game plan there for Monza. I agree with Everett there, and it sets up with maybe some golden set potential here. I mean, this match
But Monza, like I've flipped my switch on this one completely.
Yeah, you have. You were all on Monza.
I was all on Monza, but all of the signs earlier on were pointing to Monza, and we're pointing to Monza being good, and we're pointing to Canigliano being off. Now, yes, not only has Canigliano gone out and fixed their problems and found some energy and found some fire, but Monza has just kind of gone and turned things around completely. To me, it all starts with that first touch. They weren't passing the ball nearly as well as Canigliano. And let's be honest, Canigliano doesn't need to release their middles that much. But to me, like they've had so much success with Dana Redke. And all of a sudden, they just forgot about running through the middle. They forgot about going to Redke. I mean, I think
Danesi, who's
Danesi,
yeah, good. And Alessia Oro is an outstanding setter at setting the middle. So again, why you stop doing that is very confusing to me.
9 points collectively down the middle for Monza.
Makes no
and
sense.
For me, if they're going to, like, they're not going to win, you can't put Stesiak against Agonu. Like we've seen that so many times, like Agonu wins in all scenarios. Like doesn't matter if she's against Hawk or Karacourt or Stesiak, really doesn't matter. Like she's just going to win in a straight up right side battle. So you need to engage the middles.
Right.
And it's so weird because Alessia Oro was having so much fun just delivering it to Redke. Like she ran her on the slide twice before 3 points. And I was like, okay, great. This is going to be a lot of fun. And then it just went to a boring outside, opposite. They've got to mix it up a little bit.
Yeah, I agree. Also notable for Canigliano is that they chose to go with Plummer and Scylla as their outside hitters. So a very offensive-minded lineup choice, and it paid dividends for them. I'm curious to follow along with that the next couple of weeks. And yeah, so this match on Thursday in Canigliano, the worst that Canigliano can do is go to a golden set. And just a reminder, the winner of that series goes straight to the finals, because on the other side of the other quarterfinal in that half of the bracket was two Russian teams, both of whom have forfeited. So all Canigliano needs to repeat as champions is two more unbelievable Paula Egonu matches. One to beat Monza one more time, and then they're in the finals. And if they get one of those in the finals, you very well could be looking at a repeat champion there.
Yep, it's going to be good. I mean, right now, all of my money's on Canigliano. Go to BetUS, use code Volley125 and bet on Canigliano in this one. But yeah, and in the other match that we saw last week, Berlin against Trentino, it looked like it was going to be Berlin's chance. Trentino travels without Lavia. They're going to be going to Penali on the right side. They're going away from a 3 outside hitter system, going to be playing more traditionally. It looked like the time was right for Berlin to maybe steal a win away at Trentino, but it just didn't happen.
Nope. So I did this game. I had a blast doing this game, and yeah, I totally agree. Without Daniele Lavia, which I had learned like minutes before the match was starting, it felt to me like an opportunity for Berlin because Trentino at the last minute was going to have to pivot from their 3 outside hitter thing they've been doing all year to a very standard lineup set, and they bring in Giulio Pinali on the right side. And there were moments in timeout. So Berlin is almost exclusively international team. They have literally 1 German in the starting lineup. So, and their coach is French and he coaches in English. So I was fascinating listening to him in the timeouts. He was daring Giulio Pinali to beat them. Coach Cedric Guinard of Berlin was telling his middle blockers, stop the middle, stop the pipe, and stop the outside. You can leave the opposite one-on-one, especially when Pinali was in the back row. And they were doing that. They were bailing out on him, especially in the second and third sets. And they were daring Giulio Pinali to beat them. And credit to Riccardo Spertoli for understanding that was the way the matchup was going. He started feeding Pinali a little bit more later in the match, and he was delivering there. So good for Trentino in that way. Jeff Jendrick for Berlin I thought was awesome. Let's see, 7 for 8 attacking, plus an ace and 3 blocks. Awesome. Great middle blocker numbers. Conversely, Ben Patch, not good at all. 7 for 23 with 5 errors and 5 service errors and no blocks. That's not very good.
A classic Jekyll Ben Hatch. When he's Dr. Hyde, he's great.
Yeah.
Right? But when he's Jekyll, he's no good as we saw in this one.
Yeah, that was not a good match for Ben Patch. I do want to shout out Sergei Grankin because there was a moment when he was in the third set. He like there was some weird play where a libero was setting the right side and Grankin was in the front row, and a ball that probably should have been Ben Patch's. Grankin just got up and took a rip at it left-handed.
Oh, that was pretty gnarly.
He ripped at it left-handed. I had no idea he had that, and he hit it inside a double block cross court and scored. It was awesome. It was so cool. So shout out to Grankin for that. But other than Jendrick, who I thought was really good, Nehemiah Mota okay as well, 4 for 6 with a block. Berlin needs to have a great Ben Patch game in order to have a chance. And now they played Trentino at home tomorrow and have to beat him in 3 or 4 to force a golden set. Remember, these two teams played in the same round of Champions League last year, and Trentino beat them both times. I think it was 3-0, 3-1. I wouldn't be at all surprised to see the same thing here. So Trentino, but
who knows? This is what this Berlin team, man. You know, like Schott can go on a serving run.
Oh yeah.
You know, Patch could probably he could have another 28-point game. So yeah, this is definitely a must watch tomorrow, or a must follow because they're all going down at the same time.
They're actually not going on at the same time, which is outstanding.
Oh, no, you're wrong.
We'll get to that in a second. Svesko Lisonat's 9 for 13 with a block and an ace. That's a great middle stat line. Pedrashinin was good. Micheletto was good. Kaziski was good. So Trentino was just pretty clearly the better team than Berlin. And a couple of the sets were close, extra points in the first. But I'm with you, Everett. I would wish that this one was a little bit more exciting last week. So that shifts our focus to the schedule that you now see on your screen. So tomorrow you've got Vakif versus Zhezhov. That is at 16 o'clock CET is 11 a.m. Eastern, I believe. So 11 a.m. Eastern there. Wednesday, that's Wednesday, March 16th, if you're listening to this after the fact. So again, with Zhezhov beating Vakif in 5 last week, Vakif at home can win in 3 or 4 to advance. They win in 5, they force a golden set. Zhezhov wins at all, they advance to Vakif is out. 2.5 hours after that, Berlin and Trentino again. And like we just said, the worst Trentino can do is golden set. After that is the spiciest one of them all, which I believe has the most golden set potential. The nightcap, it's 8:30 p.m. CET. That is 3:30 p.m. Eastern. So a nice afternoon game. Like daylight savings time, this past weekend has made some of the time changes different than usual. But that's 3:30 p.m. Eastern. Yashevsky Vagil hosting Lube Chivinanova. Lube has to win in 3 or 4 to force a golden set. That will be extremely spicy. That is the one that I'm looking forward to the most, even though I'm commentating Trentino Berlin tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean, all three of those matches are going to be good and spicy. I mean, I think Vakifbank Istanbul. I think that one's going to be a 3-0 or a 3-1
3-0
for Istanbul for Vakifbank. Like, I don't see them going through that position, especially the way that they just outplayed Rezhov last time. Like it's going to go their way. I think Berlin Recycling against Trentino. We just talked about it. I think Trentino is going to be able to take it, but hey, who knows with this Berlin
I've
team.
got Trentino 3-1. I've got Trentino in 4.
Yeah, okay, that's fair. I like that. Probably see 3 sets of competitive play and Trentino just run away with it in the fourth.
That
but
sounds
then
right.
this Giuseppe Weigel against Lube matchup is kind of the one of the ones is the big one that you're kind of looking at.
Oh yeah,
like, what's going to happen here? Because Lube is that they're injured. They're not looking good. Giuseppe Weigel is are they at home? Is it
it's in Poland. Oh yeah, it's in Poland.
That they're going to have a big crowd. They're going to have a 7th man on the court tomorrow. Hadrava is going to have his hair slicked back. He's going to be ready to go. And yeah, like I think that it's going to be a big match no matter what, right? Because that Lube with Simone and DeCecco and Lucarelli and all these guys, they're not backing down. Right? They're not going to go away. They're not just going to sit down and let JW end their Champions League.
Not even close. But it was very similar to what we saw last year.
Smells it. Like you can tell that they smell it. It's not like the Rezhov Vakifbank scenario where, Rezhov kind of got away with murder. It's a great story. They got their first win in Champions League and in the first one, yada, yada, yada. It's all well and good. But this one, and then if you think about it, that would be 2 years in a row that Lube loses in the quarterfinals to a Polish team, which is it kind of makes you wonder, is Poland starting to close that gap on Italy?
Borderline unthinkable. That would be
right. Exactly. Like it's going to be spicy and it's going to be, a full day, basically volleyball. What time does this start here in North America? What times are we looking at here?
So you've got 11 a.m. Eastern is the Vakifbank versus Zhezhov match. Then you've got 1:30 p.m. Eastern, I think. Yeah, 1:30 Eastern is Berlin Trentino. 3:30 Eastern is Yashevsky versus Lube. And then a nightcap European volleyball show tomorrow, actually.
We're going at the end.
We're going at the end tomorrow. We'll do 5:30 Eastern tomorrow, unless the JW versus Lube match goes late. Then we'll push it back half an hour. But if you want to see my immediate reactions to all 3 of those matches tomorrow, catch the European volleyball show. So that'll be live on Stevie YouTube. Then Thursday we've got Corneliano versus Monza. By the way, these 4 matches the next 2 days, I think 3 of them are on YouTube. I think Vakifbank Zhezhov is on YouTube. JW versus Lube, I'm pretty sure, is on YouTube. But Berlin versus Trentino is on Eurovolley.tv. So that is the only place you can watch that game.
Sick. Can't wait. Should be a good one. If you guys want to have someone to watch it with, come join us on the Discord. Links are down below. It may even be into a voice chat scenario tomorrow, depending. We'll see how many people we're going around. Are you going to be back online for the JW against Lube match?
Yeah. I'll be in as soon as Berlin and Trentino is done. So I'm commenting that one on Eurovolley.tv, and then I'll be a huge fan for the rest of the day, and then I'll go live with the show after it's all over. So it's going to be a fun day of volleyball tomorrow. Plus, there's other volleyball happening tomorrow too.
Yeah, absolutely.
In the CEV.
We it started today too. We had the CEV Cup with Exercise Subaji. Banging. There was 2 banging matches in Turkey today, and I just love how the Turkish fans get behind it. They've got flags that they're going hard. This one was a good match for 3 sets. Stuttgart was right there with Subaji. They were fighting for them, but at the end of the day, Boskovic and company just kind of pulled away, started dominating in that 4th set, and never looked back at that point.
Yeah, we haven't seen that much of Tiana Boskovic this year with Ekshasibasi not playing Champions League, but they beat Stuttgart in 4, and now they set up the worst they can do next week is Golden Set. So that's the finals of the CEV's 2nd tier club tournament, CEV Cup. The women's happened today. The men's starts tomorrow. Monza versus Tours in Italy. And really, I think this series is going to be really interesting and fun to watch. Golden set potential for sure. I think both teams are pretty evenly matched, but I think this tournament will always have an asterisk on it because Zenit Kazan might be the best team in all of Europe anywhere in any competition, and they were forced to forfeit this. So it has to water down. Whoever ends up winning this tournament will feel really good about it, but it's going to water it down in the history books for sure that they didn't have to get past Zenit Kazan to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, for me, I'm favoriting Tools on this one because, as you said, I think the teams are pretty evenly matched, but it's two teams whose seasons are going completely different ways.
Yep,
right.
True.
You look at at home, Tools has been dominating domestically. Actually, they just clinched the regular season, right? They're first place heading into the playoffs. They've only lost 2 matches all year. They are flying. But Monza, that's a team that's been struggling. That's a team that's been up and down and all the way around. We've seen Grosjean come back from injuries. We've put up points, not be able to put up points. So that's a team that I really don't know what they look like. I think they're already looking towards next year where they're already making some big signings. But I think Tools cares about this one a little bit more.
I agree with that.
And you know what? The fact that the game one is in Italy and that they're going to play that return match at Tools at home. Like we saw how bananas they were.
They were nuts against Skra in that semi. It was amazing.
Yeah, exactly. So I think this Tools team is going to be going to be gearing up and ready to go. So I think this game is going to go to 5. Right. Okay. I don't know which way it's going to go, but I think it's going to go to 5, similar to the way the Skra series went down in the semifinals.
Okay. I like that a lot. I think that's a pretty good pick. Yeah. I think Monza has the better players, but Tours is a better team right now. And which is a classic volleyball question of which one of those is going to prevail. So that'll be fun. But again, you just can't not talk about the fact that Zenit Kazan was forced to forfeit that tournament because I think they legitimately might be the best team in all of Europe right now.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
The last,
I know you thought Dynamo Moscow was going to be doing the same thing in the Champions League over there, but you're not wrong.
They may have.
I mean, hey,
we'll never know. I mean, you certainly didn't pick Lube to lose a match to JW and get swept at home, and that happened. So
you know what?
If there's anybody's here whose takes are going to be getting exposed, it's yours, my friend.
Ooh, I don't know about that. I don't know about that much. Dynamo Moscow to the Champions League finals, but yeah. Moving on. As we said, there was
there. Anyway, so
there was
the last CEV tournament is called CEV Challenge Cup. It is their third and final tier of club competition, but just because it's like a third tier tournament doesn't mean this isn't a dope tournament. There are some good teams that play in this tournament. You see Scandici there on the women's side. So that's happening tomorrow. I don't even want to talk about that match because Scandici is a top-level Italian team. They're playing against Laguna from Spain.
Yeah,
that'll be 2-3-0 beatdowns. I don't think really we need to talk about that one at all. But Halkbank versus Narbonne happened today in Turkey. Halkbank Ankara is the best team in Turkey on the men's side. They're undefeated domestically in Turkey. They're better than Zirapan Kasa. They're better than our Arkas Izmir. They're better than all those teams. And you were watching this match at home today, Everett, in Turkey, and the crowd was unbelievable. Just like they just deliver every time.
Nuts crowd in this one. And I mean, this is once again why I think we should be seeing, like, if we're going to be giving a team a Nations League spot, I think it should be Turkey. And I think that they should host at home because, yeah, they were going hard. Halkbank only need 2 sets now. That's all they need. In my books, that they've already wrapped it up. Narbonne is a average French team,
right?
Not as good as they were last year. Big shout out to Graham Viagras, who had 10 points in this one. 6 for 11, not too bad. 2 blocks, 2 aces, 15 serves. You know that Graham Viagras is just going to go in. He's going to do the job. He's not going to get any points against him, right? He's not going to minus you on the scoreboard, and he's just going to lead your team to victory, right? That's why he's an absolute legend.
Yep, that's what he does. Narbonne, no joke, though. Their roster's not bad. They got Nicolas Uriarte setting, who's great. We've got a bunch of Argentinian dudes. Martin Ramos is good. Rafael Araujo, I never remember how to pronounce his name. He's okay.
Yeah.
So
might as well call the LNV like Little Argentina.
Totally.
Like that's essentially what it should be. Like every every team has a spattering of Argentinians. So
Of course,
it makes sense.
Ronnie Cuban
Ronnie in the
spiking
chat,
into the
yeah,
chat
exactly. I
just
was
in
about to say the
time.
same thing too.
Fernando Hernandez to become the third Cuban to win the Challenger Cup. Only you would know that, Ronnie, and honestly, nobody cares. Nobody really cares about winning Challenger Cup that much. So,
oh no, I care.
thanks,
I like that.
thanks for participating. I'm glad some of your boys are going to get some
Thanks for
hardware, but
participating.
it's
No, you know what?
Why are we
No,
talking
don't
about
listen.
Challenge
Don't
Cup
listen
this
to him.
much?
Don't listen to him, Ronnie. I like your stats. I'm a stats fiend.
Yeah,
So
Ronnie, I'm just messing with
bring
you,
them
dude.
to me. That's what I love. And anyone else who's got those stats in the comments too. That's another one.
Yeah,
But yeah,
dude.
like we don't even really need to talk about the women's match
No,
in this one.
no.
It just goes back to that conversation of why is this the format of Champions League or just
Of
CEV
the whole thing,
competitions?
yeah.
Yeah, why is it? Why is it? Because like so often we see these lopsided championships, and sometimes they're good, and sometimes they're bad. That's why I think we just need to kind of rank everyone, let them battle each other in pools, and kind of work their way up and down the ladder, and then partition them off into the different sections.
Yeah, that format that you proposed when we dug into it in more detail about a month ago or so, that format that you were talking about, I really, really like, and which probably means that it will never even be remotely considered by anybody whose opinion matters. But I did like the idea very much. So shout outs to you for that.
Yeah, I mean, hey, someone's got to come up with the good ideas and yell them blindly into the abyss
And
that
then
is volleyball.
the ones and zeros of the internet. So a couple more
Yeah,
things to
exactly.
talk about on the show this week. Earlier today, a very interesting match in Poland. Skra Belkatov beating Zaksa Kędzierzyn-Koźle, handing them only their second loss in the regular season. They beat him in 4. And Everett, we were looking at this score sheet trying to figure out what the heck happened here because the only number that I can remotely point to is Kamil Semeniuk 8 hitting errors. Way uncharacteristic for him. But other than that,
it was Semeniuk set a career high in errors. Not only did he make 8 hitting errors, but he had 12 errors overall. He went 12 for 24 attacking wise, which apart from everything is great. But the 8 errors is massive, bringing down that efficiency heavily. But the timing of these errors is when it happened. I mean, Skra kind of stole all their sets, especially in the second set. They were down 24-21. Bieniek went on a run. He took over like we've seen him do a few times this season. He's been having an MVP-like season for Skra. But most notably in the fourth set, Zaksa was leading 20-17. Bieniek gets a kill, goes back to serve, and 3 straight Semeniuk errors, which I don't think I've ever seen. It was insane. So 3 straight errors puts Skra back in the driver's seat, and there was just a back and forth in that one. And Dick Coy looked actually pretty good with a few good bombs. Norbert Huber was real good down the middle for Zax as well. And Skra just coming away with a win. And I don't know. Are we starting to see Zax a crack?
well, they now only lead the PlusLiga regular season by 1 point. They lead JW by 1 point, 55-54. Skra right there behind them at 53, but they've played 2 more matches. So what we thought initially was going to be a pretty much a one-team race in the PlusLiga is now not the case anymore. A couple head scratchers for Zaksa. However, they still are in a great spot in Champions League, not having to play in the quarterfinals. They play the winner of they play the winner of JW versus Lube. So that will sure to be very, very spicy. But needless to say, this is a completely different Zaksa team than the miracle workers we saw last year.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I don't have the confidence in the Zaksa team
No.
that I had in last year's team.
They're very, very
whatsoever.
good. Very good.
They're very, very good.
They're
not
not
a top 5 team in Europe, right? But I'm just not sure. So
yeah, but they're not a top 3 team in Europe, and that is a pretty big difference right there.
Yeah, I just don't believe that much in Skra either, to be honest.
Nah.
I think that like this game they played fantastic defensively. They were running things down, plus the error-ridden game on Zaksa's side. I mean, Kaczmarek had 27 in this one, and I swear to God, he might be the most skilled right side Like one of the, maybe not the most, but one of the most skilled right sides. The way he plays that game, like he can
25 for
swing hard.
39. That's a
He
great line. Wow.
he can chip. He can cut it. You know, he's a former like junior beach world champion, so he can play. I love watching Kazmarek. I've been
I
a
think
big Kazmarek stand for a while now.
I think he's got the best roll
He can
shot
do
of
it
any
all.
opposite in the world. He's got
Absolutely.
he's
This
got a better
yeah.
he's got better feel and touch for off speed shots than any opposite in the world. I love watching him.
He's just got that touch. He's got that court awareness. He's the whole package. And he's a complete player. Love to see it.
Agreed. So it's about it for that match. Just wanted to bring it up because it happened earlier today, really actually just a couple hours ago, and was pretty notable. And then I think the last thing to talk about this week is Athletes Unlimited.
Mm-hmm.
The Athletes Unlimited Women's Volleyball League is back in the United States. And if you're wondering, oh, really? It's back? I haven't heard anything about this. Yeah, we haven't either. It's been a very interesting year for them because last year, about this time, they had such an enormous marketing push behind it. They were so on top of they were just going ham on media and just incredibly trying so hard to put that product in front of as many American viewers as possible. This year, it's been flying so much more under the radar, and there's still a lot of broadcasting resources, but just in terms of like media presence, it hasn't been nearly the same this year. And so some of the cast of characters is
they don't have the athlete. They don't have the athletes
not
either
nearly
well,
to the degree as last year. So obviously they lose Jordan Larson as Jordan Larson chooses to go play real volleyball in Italy. Is a huge hit for Athletes Unlimited. So just to go over the format of it really quickly, in case you didn't follow it last year, there's a pool of something like 45-ish athletes total. There are no teams. Every week there are 4 captains, and those 4 captains will pick her team for that week. Then that team will play 3 matches, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Then the next week they will pick 4 totally brand new teams with 4 different captains, and they'll play each team will play 3 matches the following weekend with completely different lineups. I went on quite the rant on, I can't remember if it was your podcast or Dan's podcast.
It was mine.
3 of us last year. I went on quite the rant about this format. I'm not going to do that again here, but this format does not make sense for the most team sport on the planet to totally remove the team aspect from it. I don't like,
but also you got to remember that as the same as last year, like AU in general is a much larger entity.
Yes, that's right. It's important.
And they've got basketball, and they've got softball,
lacrosse.
And they've got lacrosse. Exactly.
And they do this model in every one of those, where they have individual captains that draft teams, and they switch those teams up several times.
I don't like it
at all. I
like supporting it, and looking at some of these athletes here. We got Sheila Castro, we got Bethania De La Cruz, Nutsara Tomcon, who's a Thai legend, Carly Lloyd, who's going to be former national team setter coming back.
Alicia Glass as well, coming out of retirement.
Yeah, exactly. Rick Cruz out of Puerto Rico, Fallen Fanoawana is making that switch over back from the beach over to the indoor. But you know what? Like last year, I watched it out of the want to support, but it just didn't bring up enough intrigue. It just doesn't catch me. The fact that you've got to switch over to different teams all the time, you can't just watch one team and understand how that team works together. It's just, I think in general, it's just a bad model. Right.
Yeah.
I don't know how it works for the other sports.
It's the same. It's the exact same. They do the exact same.
No, thing. But like I don't know if it works out better for the other sports. Maybe in softball or lacrosse, like basketball. Like I haven't seen it. I haven't seen it out of it.
Softball, it might, because just the nature of the game is more individual. It's really every interaction in softball is a one-on-one, like the hitter against the pitcher. So your individual
stats carry every more. Situation, you've got to do like the same thing. The ball goes out to the field, you got to throw it to first base. Whatever it is. Obviously, I'm simplifying it a little bit.
Of course,
softball or baseball stands in the comments, Ronnie. But. but yeah, like I just it's not fun to watch, right?
No, it doesn't lend itself well to volleyball.
No, I absolutely agree. So if you do want to check it out, to be honest, I have no idea even where you can watch it. Is it on on Fox Sports 1. I remember last year they, bragged about having all of them available, and it was kind of a mess because sometimes it'd be on some channels, other was one were on YouTube, some were on Twitch. It was all over the place.
Yeah, I'm not sure their streaming or their broadcasting situation this year. I know Kevin Barnett is back on the call, but
That's at least good.
Yeah, that
I'm always
helps.
down to listen to. I'm always down to listen to Kevin Barnett.
Yep, that definitely helps. I do think he's a better analyst than he is a play-by-play guy, but I'll always listen to Barnett. But yeah, I'm with Everett. I watched this last year just out of sort of obligation to it and my want to support the idea of professional volleyball in the States, which, if you've watched the show, is an idea about which I care very, very strongly. But this format does not lend itself well to volleyball. And despite the broadcast resources, of which I'm extremely envious, the product, like the on-court product, just isn't that good. And it's a shame that that's the truth, but I think we're in agreement on that.
Yeah. So it seems like they've got a few different options. Some are going to be available on YouTube. Other going to be available on Bally Sports. No idea what that is.
No idea what that is.
Then you've got some Fox Sports 1, Fox Sports 2, Fox Sports 2, and then Bally Sports once again.
Yeah, you got to be careful with the shotgun approach to broadcasting. It helps more to keep things in one place. Yeah. So that's going down. I think the first weekend of competition's coming up this weekend. I'm pretty sure it starts on Friday night. So if that sort of thing interests you, follow all their various platforms on social media. Oh, never mind. Apparently it's tomorrow. Interesting. Tomorrow. So they're doing I guess the cadence of the games is a little different than it was last year. So yeah, follow along with that with Athletes Unlimited Volleyball if that's your sort of thing. But if you like, it's so far down my list with all the other volleyball going on throughout the world that I don't see myself watching all that many games.
No, yeah, I might throw it on tomorrow night, even though there's a lot going on. I've got some OUA playoff games that I might check out, or at least for very much I'll watch the stream. So yeah, probably gonna be picking some OUA playoffs over AU. But
yeah, they're competing with March Madness too. That's not a good time in the North American sports calendar at all.
No, definitely not. So yeah, maybe we can maybe it'll work. Who knows? Who knows?
So yeah, all right, that's going down. Yeah, I think that's about it for the week. So we've got an unbelievably packed day of CEV ball tomorrow. Just crazy number of matches. I think like 5 total. Then there's some on Thursday. The men's Italian league gets really, really spicy on Sunday, and a bunch of other stuff going on. So if you want to chat about all of this all the time, join the Discord in the link below. And if you want to bet on these games, go use the platform BetUS and use the code Volley125 to get a bunch of money for free. Let's put it on the screen again.
Yeah. And also, obviously, this is an indoor show, but Beach Volleyball World Tour starts off tomorrow with the qualifier in Rosarito, Mexico with the Challenger. So I'm stoked for that one. I'm going to be watching some beach tomorrow for sure. All of those matches are going to be available on Volleyball World TV. Now we should get Volleyball World TV to sponsor us. We drop their names enough.
We do. I want us to be like the official weekly talk show on the FIVB's platforms. We're the only ones on the planet doing it in English every week, so there's really no reason why not. So if anybody has that connection, join the Discord immediately.
I mean, I've had that connection. I know who to talk to.
Come on, Everett, let's go, dude.
They just don't like me very much.
Well, that's fair.
I've been around a long time, causing shit a long time. So it's.
I haven't. They posted a bunch of Jurgi Grozer highlights today with my voice on commentary, so I'm on their platforms.
I mean, so am I, but they've just forgotten about it. All right, guys, thank you very much. Have a great week. We will see you next week, next Tuesday at 7:30 for the 9x9 will be episode 19. Where have the weeks gone, Rob? Where have the weeks gone? All right, see you guys. Have a great night.
See you, ladies and gentlemen.